Stories of old Roman Greece, Glaucus, Scylla, and Circe. Public domain reading. One of the many sea gods who ruled under Neptune was Glaucus, who was once a poor fisherman and earned his living by selling the fish that he caught each day. One morning he had an extra large haul, and when he threw the fish on the ground beside him, he noticed that they were eagerly nibbling the grass that grew very thickly in the spot where he had flung his net. As he stood watching them, the fish suddenly leaped up from the ground and, having flopped back into the water, swam away. Curious to see whether it was the grass that gave them this extraordinary power, Glaucus chewed a bit of it himself, and immediately he felt an irresistible desire to plunge into the sea. Fearlessly he dived beneath the waves, and soon found no difficulty in keeping underwater, for the ocean seemed now to be his native element. He saw his beard turning a lovely sea green, and he found that his hair, grown suddenly long and green, was trailing out behind him. His arms were azure-colored, and his legs became a fish's tail. But he felt no regrets over losing his human form, and stayed contentedly in the ocean. In time, Neptune made him one of the lesser gods, and took him into the friendly fraternity of the sea. As Glaucus was swimming one day near the shore, he saw a beautiful maiden named Scylla, and he fell so much in love with her that he forgot he was half fish. He begged her to be his wife. Scylla stared at his green hair and his blue skin, but this did not frighten her, nor did she wonder at his fish's tail. She often had played with the sea nymphs and was accustomed to their strange appearance. Glaucus felt encouraged by her behavior and begged her to listen to the story of his life. He told her how he had suffered a sea change and now occupied the lofty position of a god. The maiden was interested in this recital, but she still had no desire to marry a merman, even if he were a god. So when Glaucus ventured to come nearer to her, she turned and fled. Discouraged but still determined, the young god sought the aid of the enchantress Circe, and begged her to give him some love potion by which he might win the unwilling Scylla. Circe was so well pleased with the handsome sea god that she urged him to accept her love and to forget the maiden Scylla, who scorned him. But Glaucus would not yield to the persuasions of the enchantress and kept pleading for the desired love potion. Seeing that she could not gain his affections, Circe determined that at least no one else should enjoy his love. So she refused to make a potion and sent Glaucus angrily away. When she saw him go sorrowfully from her palace, she mixed a magic liquid, brewed from poisonous plants and deadly weeds, and this she poured over the waters where Scylla was wont to bathe. The maiden, suspecting no treachery, sought the ocean at her accustomed hour, and as soon as the poisoned waves touched her body, she became a horrible monster with 6 heads, each having 3 rows of sharp teeth. She saw all around her serpents and barking dogs that were part of her own body, which had suddenly become rooted to the spot where she stood. She never regained her human form, but stayed in this place forever to terrify all mariners and to devour the hapless sailors that came within her reach. Opposite her was the den of Charybdis, who 3 times a day swallowed the waters of the sea and 3 times threw them up again. On the rock above the den was an immense fir tree, and all ships that passed that way watched eagerly for this signal of danger, and prayed that they might safely steer between the double horrors of Scylla and Charybdis. There Scylla dwells, and fills the air with fearful yells, her voice the cry of whelps just littered but herself, a frightful prodigy, a sight which none would care to look on. Though he were a god, 12 feet are hers, all shapeless, 6 long necks, a hideous head on each, and triple rows of teeth, close set, and many threatening death. And forth from the dark gulf her heads are thrust, to look abroad upon the rocks for prey. No mariner can boast that he had passed by Scylla with a crew unharmed. From Bryant's Homer, Odyssey, Book 12, line 100.